It looks like you are from South Korea. Is
All
that right?
right, right.
All right. So what would you like to do on campus these days?
By the way, you're breaking up. How do I say?
Breaking up? Really?
Now it's okay.
Okay. Yeah. What would you like to do today on campus?
Uh, I prepared some question. If you can ask me those questions, and I welcome to your own questions as well. And if I make any mistakes, big mistakes, please let me know. And if I mispronounce some word, could you type and leave the word in the chat box?
Yeah, for sure. I can do that.
Okay.
So what is this for?
I just made some question about me,
So not for an interview.
not for an what is this for? Not for an interview because
Oh,
I'm a housewife. Before start the question, let me introduce myself first.
okay.
I think that's better. I'm almost 30 now, and actually, I used to be an aero mechanic before in my 20s. I worked for an airline, small airlines for 4 years, and unfortunately, I met a bad boss, so I quit the job because he made my life mm, miserable.
Yeah, you could say
So
that.
yeah, so I got another job to teach high school students to get a certificate for aircraft. I taught them for almost 1 year, but during the job, I met my husband. I decided to marry him, but I had to move to another city. My job was too far from the new city, so I quit the job and now I'm housewife. But during the pandemic, uh, I thought I need to do something to develop myself, improve myself.
Yeah, you can say that.
So, uh, so I started studying English for speaking skills. Um, that's why I'm doing Cambly. It's not for a job or something.
Just personal development,
Yeah,
basically.
right.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. So yeah, along with this list of questions, actually there's another list of questions that I often use with students about learning English. So we can so when we get to question 6, we could do that. Um so yeah, let's get going. So how long have you studied English for?
Uh, for speaking skills, it has been almost 4 years because, like I said earlier, I started studying English since 2020 during the pandemic. Um, so yeah, it's almost 4 years.
But then when you were like when do Korean students usually start within the education system?
I
When did they
think
start
that's a good question. mm, Actually, in Korea, we start studying English from elementary school, but at my age, we started we started studying English from middle school. Actually, if I count from that time,
Mhm.
then it would be almost 6 or more because graduate after I graduated from high school, while while I was studying in university, I I had to keep studying English. I had to I had to keep studying English to get a job. So it's almost 6 or 8 years.
6 to 8 years. Okay. And then when you were studying in middle school and in high school, did you feel like it was helpful, or like what was the format like?
Mm, when it comes to vocabulary, it was helpful, I think, because because of that process, I when I decided to study English for speakings, I've I've already know a lot of vocabulary, right? I still have a lot of vocabularies that I don't know, but anyways, in that regard, it was it helped it helped. But um, for speaking skills, it didn't help at all.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I live in Bangkok and I've taught English in schools here before too. And the thing is, like, many of them can understand English because they
Mm.
spend the whole day just listening to a teacher speak English. But when it comes to speaking, they don't have very much practice. So like, yeah, like often, when I was teaching, the class sizes were maybe 30 or more. So when you were in school, was it kind of the same? You had so many students in your
Mm.
classroom, it wasn't very easy to have a conversation.
Mm. Oh, pardon?
Like when you were in the classroom,
Mm.
they never gave you opportunities to have a discussion in
Oh,
English or
right.
have
Mm.
conversation. Is that right?
Right, right. There's no opportunity to speak English.
Yeah. So
Mm.
so you're writing and reading and
Mm.
listening skills were good, but
Yeah.
and that's a very common situation for Asian students on Cambly is they say like, I've been learning English for 15 years, but I don't know how to speak.
Yeah.
Because yeah, they practice,
Mm.
yeah, they just practice like the grammar and vocabulary, which was the same for us when I was in high school when we were learning Spanish.
Mm.
It was just grammar and vocabulary. And
Yeah.
maybe it provides a good foundation, but it in no way helps you have a conversation with
Yeah.
someone in the
That's what I
language.
wanted to say.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of a flawed system, but
Mm.
also when you have 30 students, maybe there's not a better way.
Yeah. And the long period makes me frustrated. I did studied English for a long time, but I couldn't speak English at all. So it makes me annoyed and frustrated.
It is very
Mm.
frustrating.
Mm.
Yeah, when it's like maybe you could think about what you want to say, but like actually putting it into
Oh,
words, it's so
right.
difficult. Yeah.
And I don't I don't even know some daily expressions. I only for words for test. You understand?
Yeah, like more
Um,
academic English.
yeah,
Is that what you
right.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what's good about platforms like Cambly or whatever you use is you can start having more natural conversations.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
one thing that,
sometimes,
uh-huh,
uh,
what were we gonna say?
well, like you said, it's Cambly is a good system for mm, for practicing speaking. But actually, I used Cambly for almost 2 years, and I quit. I quit. I stopped using Cambly last 1 year and 3 months, and now I signed up for Cambly again for a year. Oh, but the reason why I stopped using Cambly is it was really hard. It was really hard to find a good tutor. Oh,
So what is a good tutor for
mm,
you? Uh-huh.
I think a good tutor is someone who give more chance to speak, more chance to speak for students.
Oh
To
yeah. So
students.
a
Yeah.
tutor that promotes
Yeah.
student talk
But
time. Yeah.
when I quit Cambly, I uh, often met a tut- I often met tutors who talked a lot. I just listened.
Did
And
you
at
like
the
talk about
time,
themselves a lot?
yeah, uh, yeah, right, right.
Hmm.
Talked about themselves and their opinions. So, come to think of it, I should tell them I should have told them my opinion, my
Yeah.
complaint. But
Mm.
at the time, for some reason, I couldn't tell them my complaint. So I just listened and I was just annoyed. And then I didn't, how do I say, reserve their quest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you didn't reserve their class.
yeah.
Yeah, one thing, like a lot of students will go on to Cambly
Mm,
and they'll ask for a free conversation.
mm,
So I've been on Cambly for 4 years, but the first, I'd say, 2 years were very difficult because most students asked for free conversations,
mm,
and I hadn't found resources yet to
mm,
make those conversations more interesting. So,
mm.
a student will say, "Yeah, I just want free talk today." And free talk, obviously, when you're with your friends or when you're with someone that very easy because you know something about
All
them.
right. Mm,
But when you talk to a student,
mm.
you know nothing about them. So it turns into an interview very
Oh,
quickly.
mm.
Uh, Tell me about yourself. What do you do?
Yeah.
So, what I finally found was
Mm,
here, let me send you this website,
mm,
which we will do after your list of questions.
mm,
Basically, it's a list of topics from A to Z,
mm,
and then each topic has a list of questions. So, this makes it
mm,
so here, let me share my screen with you real quick.
mm.
This makes it so you and the tutor, like the tutor is always asking you questions.
Oh,
That way, yeah, the tutor's not taking too much of your time. You can
mm,
spend most of the time talking yourself.
mm.
So I
That's a good
highly
idea.
recommend this
Mm,
because a lot of tutors don't
mm.
know about this website.
I think that's really good. Mm,
It is. I've had a lot more success since I've
yeah.
started using this because free conversations,
Mm,
depending on the energy between you
mm.
and the student,
Oh,
or you and the tutor in your situation, it can go bad very quickly.
yeah. So that's why I prepared some questions. Mm,
Yeah, I appreciate that because many
yeah.
people don't prepare anything.
Mm, yeah.
So let's go to the second one. So how do you study English?
How do I study English? When I first started studying English for speaking skills, I thought I need to start like a child. So I started reading children's books. It's more of a kindergarten books. Uh, at the time, um, I haven't studied something for a long time, so I needed to make a habit. So I just read one or two books, very short books, very thin books. So like that way, uh, I read a lot, and then when I went to level up,
Yeah, good.
good, when I went to level up, I started listening to a podcast. Have you heard of Culips?
Tulips?
Culips. I'm a big fan of this podcast.
Curious.
It's
Who's the host?
host and Andrew. This podcast is for English learners. So I'm a paid member because I want to get a script, and these days I've been practicing shadowing with their scripts. I followed their tone and accent and stress, intonation or something. I think that's really helpful for me.
Yeah, shadowing is super effective,
Yeah, and
especially for pronunciation.
repetitive. Mm.
Yeah,
I
repetitive. And
mm,
sometimes repetitive can mean boring, but it's like it's one of those things that's so necessary. Like
yeah.
we're never going to do something perfectly just one time.
I think like you said, repetitive repetition. Like you said, the repetition would be boring, but I think it's the best way to improve my English
Agreed.
because whenever repeat the same sentences, um, I can I can remember that expression by itself. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, if you mean if you only say it one time, you're
mm,
very unlikely to remember the
mm,
expression.
yeah, right. So I enjoy reading out loud the same script every day. And one more. Um, Another method to study English is to keep a journal.
Like a daily thought journal.
Yeah. Uh, in the past, I used to write a journal almost every day, but these days I don't keep a journal like that much. As I feel, keeping a journal is another good way to improve English. Even though I don't know that expression, how to express myself, but that's the point, I think. I could know something that I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, it also gets you thinking in English
All
for the
right.
day. Like it kind of
Mm.
like sets the tone. So besides improving your English, many people they talk about writing a daily journal, the importance of writing a daily journal. It's something that I've never done in my own routine. So what does writing a journal or what has writing a journal done for you in your life?
Uh, my daily life is same old, same old. So sometimes I don't have something to write. So in that case, I choose I choose a script, the Curious Podcast script, and there's just some questions about the topics. So one day I wrote about the topics, or and another day I choose one children's books. Then I try to summarize the story. That way I keep writing a journal. Actually, um, I call it journal, but I think it's more of a writing note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just yeah, notepad. All right, so let's go to the next one, Jin. So, how many hours do you study English each day?
Um, these days, I've studied English for almost an hour or more, but in the last 2 or 3 years, uh, I studied more, almost 2 or 3 hours. Mm,
That's a lot.
yeah, but these days I slacked up studying English, so reduced the time.
Yeah, the winter
Yeah.
laziness. Yeah, yeah, I get it. But studying 2 to 3 hours a day, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you've improved more quickly in the last couple of years because of that?
Mm. Oh, pardon?
Do you think that you've improved more quickly in the last 2 years because you've increased your hours to 2 to 3 hours per day?
Yeah, definitely. But I don't think I improved a lot.
Okay, so what do you think is stopping you from improving?
Stop it.
Yeah, what do you think is preventing you from improving a
Uh,
lot?
like you said, um, the time. How do I say? The more I immersed into English,
Uh-huh.
the more I spend a lot of time English, the more I improved. Uh, the more my English improved. but I mean, not as much as I wanted. That makes me frustrated. Um,
See, that's what's difficult. Like improving very quickly in your home country is the hard part. Um,
right.
that like if you immerse yourself
Mm.
in a all English speaking environment, if you went to the UK or Australia, I think that you would learn so quickly because
Oh,
like
really?
you already speak English very smoothly. So really, yeah, maybe I should ask you, what's your goal, or what does it mean for you to be a lot better? Because right
Um,
now it feels like you can speak pretty naturally.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
my goal is just to express myself, to express my thought and opinion. But the thing that make, the thing that makes me frustrated is sometimes I don't know how to express my thoughts. So
Like you can think about it in Korean, you just don't know how to switch it to English.
I think I passed the right phase, but I don't now. Uh, I don't think Korean into English.
Oh wow, that's great.
Uh,
Because that's a huge transition
yeah,
for most people.
mm. But even though I've studied English for almost 4 years, I always uh, feel like lack of vocabulary. It's endless lifetime commitment. It feels like a lifetime time commitment. So sometimes I already know it's a lifetime commitment, but it also made me frustrated.
Yeah, it feels like there's no end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
so
for
annoying.
improving vocabulary, the best thing you can do is read.
All right.
Absolutely.
Um,
So you already said that you read some children's books.
mm,
Are you reading anything right now?
right now, these days, I've been reading Dragon Masters series. Have you heard of it?
No, let me look it up.
Dragon Masters.
Dragon Masters
Mm.
series. Okay, so this is a kids genre. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
chapter
think
book.
as you keep progressing through different levels of difficulty for books, your vocabulary will improve.
Right.
So maybe after this, you could read something like Harry Potter, or I don't know if you like Harry Potter, but something here. Let me show you something. Have you ever heard
I
of Lexile
I
Score?
already I already bought a Harry Potter series, but I really want to read Harry Potter in English, but it is still hard for me.
Okay, so then I
Um,
think that's like a good next step after
mm,
you get through Dragon Masters, the Lexile Score of Harry Potter. So Lexile Score is basically,
I
uh,
know.
oh, you know Lexile Score.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, I think you can move on to Harry Potter,
Mm,
and then really eventually, when you want to improve vocabulary, the most important thing is to read books that you really enjoy,
yeah.
like books you're actually interested in.
The reason why I keep reading, it's also easy to remember some expressions because I read them in the context.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. In the
Mm.
correct context, and it tells you exactly how to use the word if you're
All
speaking.
right. Mm. I can use some verb or vocabulary in the right sentence.
Right. It's not like when you just have flashcards and you're like, "Oh, adventure," and then you look at
Yeah.
the Korean and then you forget it 3 days later.
Right. Mm.
It's
And it's
it
so
sticks with you.
boring. Yeah.
It's so boring doing that.
Yeah. Mm.
It's effective for exams, but it's really not effective for
Yeah.
learning
Right.
a language.
Like like you said earlier, um, I agree with your opinion. In Korea, it's really hard to improve English because I don't have any chance to speak English. So mm, that's why I haven't improved as much as I can.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're always hearing the sounds of your native language. You're always having conversations. Therefore, you're always thinking
Yeah.
in Korean. So that's what's really difficult. Some people, I had a student from Saudi Arabia that every moment that he was not working, he was listening to something in English, or he was watching something in English, or he was on Cambly, was listening to music. So you can kind of create that, but I know it's difficult because sometimes life gets in the way, and you can't always. He was a single guy, you know. Yeah, he just
Yeah.
worked, went home, so it was a little easier for him. But that's the best thing that I think you could do is kind of create an environment like that with technology.
Right.
So this is a good question that you said. So why do you study English? I think that's
Um,
always
I don't
difficult
know
to know.
why, but I really working on my English, and some people. That's why some people ask me, "Why do you study English so hard?" But I don't know. I think I'm one of those people who like improve myself,
Oh,
and when I imagine myself, my old self, if I don't study English, I I would have a regret not studying English. So my dream is I become the elderly person who can speak really well, can speak English really well. I don't know
yeah, I think
how I
you're
want
well
to
on
do.
your way. I mean, for traveling, it's always useful. There's always ways to find use in English. But Jin, if you